Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette and our wedding series. Today we discuss choosing a wedding ring and a wedding band, which after the engagement ring is probably one of the most important things you can do because it's a piece of jewelry that you'll wear for the rest of your life. I've been wearing my wedding band for 7 years every day, and it's something that becomes part of you, and for that reason you want something that you really truly like, and it pays to invest in quality simply because you wear it every day. Now, I don't know your tastes, and they may be very progressive, but from what I can tell, a classic wedding band stands the test of time, and chances that you won't like it anymore after a few years are very little. For example, I'm wearing here a simple yellow gold 14 karat band with a milgrain edge, and it's accidentally the same style my wife's grandfather wore, and he got married in 1946. The most popular material for wedding rings is yellow gold. It's very classic, and the best combinations are 14 karat or 18 karat because they have the right gold look, but they are not too soft, otherwise you'll see the scratches. Gold itself, 100% gold, is very soft, and so if you go over 18 karat, which is 75% of gold, it's just not perfect for a wedding ring. In England, you can also find 9 karat gold rings, which are 37.5% of gold, which is very low in my opinion, and it's harder, but the look sometimes is different from 14 karat or 18 karat. In Germany, you can even find 333 gold, which means 33.3% of gold, and to me, it's not really gold because the majority is something else, and I'd rather stick with something that's at least 14 karat or 18 karat. Traditionally, if you didn't like gold, which was rarely the case, people went for silver, specifically 925 sterling silver or 950 or 800 silver. Now, while I like it for pinky rings, I do not like silver for a wedding band because it's softer and it shows the scuffs much more easily. The big advantage is that it's a lot less expensive than gold. At the same time, it requires polishing because it oxidizes, and personally I find it very bothersome with something that I wear every day. Back in the day, the alternative used to be platinum or white gold. Platinum is a different material than gold, and it's usually more expensive because it's also harder to work on it, and white gold is quite popular these days, and if you like the silver look, it's a valid alternative to a yellow gold or maybe even a rose gold. Rose gold was very popular in Victorian times, and personally I like it a lot. I have cufflinks in rose gold, I have a ring in rose gold, and it's a nice material, and it works particularly well if you're a little more tan, because it has just a slightly different look than yellow gold. Now, these are the basic classic materials you can wear for wedding rings, and I suggest you stick with them because they've proven that they work, that they last, and that they don't lose their value. The next step would be to determine what kind of look you want, and specifically how wide you want the ring to be. Most bands are between 3mm and 8mm wide. I suggest to go with something in the middle, maybe 4 or 5, because if it gets bigger, yes, it can look more masculine, but it can also be more difficult to get the ring onto your finger, and it can be less comfortable when you wear it. In terms of finishes, you can go with a shiny finish that is polished. It's probably the most classic one. You can get something that's hammered, which is unusual, or you can get that milgrain edge, the one I'm wearing personally, or you can get something that's really matte, which is hardly ever seen. Sometimes you also see etched patterns and things like that, but the more exotic you get, the more likely it is that you won't like the design in 20 years from now. Personally, I think the matte finishes look more like stainless steel, and I would stay clear of them, but if you love them, go for it. One thing that you'll encounter often is a so-called comfort fit, and personally, I like it a lot, and what it does, it gives you rounder edges, so it makes it easier to take the ring on and off if you, for example, have to wash your hands, or if you have a job where it's not good to have your wedding ring on. Personally, for example, when I go to the gym, I sometimes find it hard to have my wedding ring because I get blisters on my hand if I lift some weights. So one question I get asked a lot is, do I have to match the metals of my wedding band to the rest of my outfit? I say, no, you don't have to. Don't stress out about it. Your wedding ring is a part of you, and if you can match it, great. If not, that's okay too. Now, if you want to do it, one thing you can keep in mind is to have maybe one ring in white gold, and then the same one in yellow gold, so you could switch it up so it matches with your tie bars, your cufflinks, or any other metal things that you want to wear. So what are the wedding ring don'ts? To me, the number one rule is not to go with unusual materials, such as wood, tungsten, cobalt, titanium, rubber, and so forth. They just won't stand the test of time, and chances are you'll just won't like the look of them down the line. Second, don't go with finishes that are highly unusual, such as blackened or matted in a certain way or edged or acid treated, because chances are it'll just look dated very soon. Rule number 3 is don't go with anything that's wider than 8 millimeters, because then it just is way too big. Rule number 4, do not add diamonds to your ring, because it's just very flashy and it makes you look like a pimp. So should you buy designer brands? I would say no, because a wedding band is a very classic thing. You can find them from jewelers, and it's more about the weight and a specific design and the right size for your finger, and the designer simply adds a markup to the ring that doesn't add additional value to your comfort or the looks. Rule number 6, definitely avoid adjustable rings, because that's something from a gumball machine, and it's really the cheapest of the cheap, and since this is a wedding ring, you want something that's quality. Now, what size should you get? Personally, I find sizing can be very tricky, because in the US, the size measurements is different than it is in Europe, for example. At the same time, if you go to a jeweler, they give you rings that you can try on, and sometimes the size of the ring also depends on the width of the ring. So ideally, you try on rings in the same width that you want to wear afterwards. Otherwise, a slimmer ring can be tighter than a wider ring. One thing I personally find challenging sometimes is that your fingers change in size throughout the day, but specifically throughout the seasons. During summertime, my fingers are bigger, and in the winter, when it's cold, my fingers are slimmer. So when you choose a ring that you want to wear year-round, make sure that you don't buy a ring during the summertime that is almost too big, because then during the wintertime it will certainly be too small. Likewise, don't buy a ring in the wintertime that is very snug, because it will be painful to wear during the summer. The best way to figure out your ring size is probably to go to a jeweler, but sometimes you can also find these ring sizers that are made out of plastic, and they come in all kinds of different sizes, and you can put them on. But usually they're quite slim, so that can be tricky and throw off the actual measurements for your finger. In summary, we suggest you stick with the classics, just like with anything else on your wedding day, such as wedding accessories like my tie that I'm wearing here right now, or boutonnieres or pocket squares. If you want to learn more about those accessories and about other wedding related things, please check out our wedding series here and our shop with wedding accessories such as wedding ties and bow ties.